The Bible clearly says in Ephesians chapter 2 verse 8 and 9, "For by grace you have been saved through faith, not by your own works. It is the gift of God, lest any man should boast." Now this verse tells us that we are not saved by religion, by good works, by philosophy, or by our own ideologies. We are saved alone by God's grace. God's grace which has been outpoured through Jesus Christ on the cross of Calvary. All we need to do is to accept this grace. Grace which is greater than all our sins. An old hymn written by Julia H. Johnston. Marvelous grace of our loving Lord, grace that exceeds our sin and our guilt, yonder on Calvary's mount outpoured. There was the blood of the Lamb who was spilled. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that will pardon and cleanse us in grace, grace, God's grace, grace that is greater than all our sin. Sin and despair like the sea waves cold threaten the soul with infinite loss. Grace that is greater, yes, grace untold, points to the refuge, the mighty cross. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that will pardon and cleanse within. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that is greater than all our sin. Dark is the stain that we cannot hide. What can avail to wash it away? Look, there is flowing a crimson tide. Brighter than snow you may be today. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that will pardon and cleanse within. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that is greater than all our sin. Marvelous, infinite, matchless grace, freely bestowed to all who believe. You who are longing to seek His face, will you this moment His grace receive? Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that will pardon and cleanse within. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that is greater than all our sin. Will you this moment His grace receive? That is the question. Will you?